The Galaxy S24 Ultra is here, and while the upgrades to the hardware might not be a big deal, it's all about AI with this phone. It's powered by Galaxy AI, which lets you do stuff like edit your photos, and also a really neat live translation feature. But the most controversial decision yet is going to be around the cameras. The switch from a 10x zoom lens to a 5x zoom lens here with the S24 Ultra. Is it a big downgrade? Let's find out. If you look really quick, it kind of looks the same as last year's phone, but there are some subtle changes to design. For starters, it now has a flat display, so gone are the rounded edges. Samsung says that it was done because it'll help out with the S Pen usage, so you're not slipping off the sides. For me, I like the aesthetics of the curved display. Secondly, there are slimmer bezels around the display, so you see it most of the bottom edge here. You also look closer to the front-facing camera. The bezel itself is also smaller, so it's less prominent. And overall, it just makes it look like it has a better screen-to-body ratio. And the last point here is the new titanium frame. It adds durability and also a lighter package. It feels good in hand. It's still a little bit unwieldy because of its size, but at least you have that water-resistant design, and it feels like a premium gadget. So on paper, there's not a big change to the display specs. It's still a 6.8-inch QHD Plus Super AMOLED display. It looks gorgeous, trailers play nicely, saturated color tones, wide viewing angles, but Samsung does improve in one key area, which is the brightness. S24 Ultra has a peak brightness output of a little bit over 1300 nits. That's an improvement over last year, which reached, I believe, around 1250 nits. I could still see that there's slightly brighter display on the S24 Ultra. As I teased earlier, it's more about the software over the hardware, and it's all going to be powered by Galaxy AI. The first cool AI feature is called live translation, and basically it's going to be able to translate between two people in a different language. So I'm going to give my buddy Tony a buzz right now, try it out.
Hello?
Do you want to meet up in the office in about 5 minutes for coffee?
¿Quieres reunirte en la oficina en unos 5 minutos para tomar café?
Vamos a buscar un espresso.
Let's get an express.
So it might be hit or miss when it comes to live translation with a phone call, but I find it more practical in apps like WhatsApp. When I'm conversing with other people in different languages, I don't have to copy and paste more. I just stay within the app, use live translation, and it gets it done. The next Galaxy AI feature is Chat Assist, and basically it lets you choose a tone for how you write. So for me, I find that it's the least practical or useful AI feature because I find like it makes me sound like a different person. You could sound professional, you could sound more casual. There's even one for social media with a bunch of emoji and hashtags, but I just find it gimmicky. On the other hand, I could see myself using this next feature more. If you're like me and prefer TLDR style summaries, notice this can help because it takes my notes and generates a simple summary. And so far, I think it works well. If you're like me and you can't focus on your meetings, there's this new feature called Transcript Assist. So basically, you use the voice recorder app with the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and it will record the entire conversation, transcribe everything so that it takes all the notes for you so you don't have to. Once you're done with your recording, the phone will automatically transcribe everything, including the speakers. And of course, you have also the summary feature, which is handy if you're like me, who wants a condensed view of what was going on. Here it is. Oh, look at that. And this last one's probably the most intriguing AI feature. It's called Circle to Search. So if you're on your feeds, your social media, you want to learn more about a photo, you just long press the home button and you could circle on whatever image you want. It works in every app. So on Facebook, Instagram, even with the camera. And then what it'll do, it'll search for that image and it'll provide you with some relevant searches. We also put it through its paces, and I think it did a great job of actually locating the statue that we took a photo of. One of the main controversies about the S24 Ultra is how they swapped the telephoto lens. It's now a 5x optical zoom versus last year's longer 10x zoom. Hopefully, the AI features and also the post-processing is going to help out the quality so it matches the S23 Ultra's 10x optical zoom range. Look at that, that's not bad. Okay. This is the S24 Ultra, and the first thing I'm noticing here is that it's a good photo. Telephoto zoom range is excellent. You got some nice definition and detail in the building, in the brickwork especially. But things get interesting when we switch over to the S23 Ultra. When I zoom into the shot and see some of the finer details around the spire, around the brickwork, that's when you kind of see that it exposes more of those details versus the 5x zoom lens in the S24 Ultra. I get that lossless zoom's a big thing with a lot of phones, but this is a perfect example here, I think, where the optical zoom range is important because now you're not getting as much detail, so you're losing out on that. The 200 megapixel main camera is excellent, and for most things, whether you're taking a selfie, portrait mode, food shot, it's wonderful. For bright scenes where there's a lot of good lighting, you can get good HDR performance, so it balances out the shadows, the highlights. But the other area I'm real interested about is the low light performance, because that's also a true indicator of the best camera phones. Here with the S24 Ultra, I do notice just some subtle differences. The first being that it's slightly brighter. I'm not saying it's a tremendous difference, but it is. You can see it in the white portion of the garage here. And also with the tree in the background here with the lit up lights, it seems to do a better job of handling HDR, so those bright highlights aren't really blown out while the shadows are exposed just a little bit more, so the overall image just looks slightly more appealing versus the S23 Ultra. The other big competitor here is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and also had improved low light performance with its camera. I could tell that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is slightly warmer with its color tones. I also want to say that the iPhone 15 Pro Max does a better job of exposing the highlights. I can see it in some brighter areas of the image, whereas with the S24 Ultra, it's not bad. It's still well exposed. You have great contrast here, and it's slightly on the colder side with its color temperature, but at the end, it's just personal preference. The hardware may not be the biggest selling point here with the S24 Ultra, but instead, it's all the AI-assisted features that really make a compelling case for it. One of the things that the phone does, it'll make suggestions for you based on the photo you took. Just tap on this button here, erase reflections. And that's the magic of Galaxy AI. It just does all the hard work for you. I'm not spending hours editing a photo like this. It just removes all those reflections with just one tap. In a situation where you have a photo and you kind of have it slightly tilted or not angled the way you want, you could use Galaxy AI to actually fix it up using generative AI. Tap on the 3 stars and then you could choose your angle here. So if you want it to fill in like this so that the columns are straight, hit generate, and then it'll automatically will fill in the background, and hopefully it does it correctly and realistically. The one single generative edited feature I use most here with the Galaxy S24 Ultra is the ability to take a photo, resize an object, and it does it all on the phone without any of my help, and it does a pretty good job of it. So, took this photo of my hot chocolate. I'm gonna hit edit here. I'm gonna go to tap this guy, and I'm gonna circle what I want to edit here, and AI will automatically detect it. So now, what I can do is long press, I can move it around, we could resize it like that. I'm gonna hit generate here, and then it's gonna just compose the image. I think it's pretty good. You could see the background's kind of blurred, which is great. That's what you expect in a photo that looks realistic. To me, if I was looking at this, I couldn't even tell that it was made with AI. And finally, there is my favorite AI editing tool. It is Instant Slow-Mo. It lets me shoot with the Galaxy S24 now, worry later, because you could slow it down in post. And I wanna slow it down, just tap and just let it go. And then when I'm done, finished, do that. The overall video looks pretty good. It does a great job of actually filling the gaps. It adds those extra frames to slow it down. And it's only when you look into the details, when it's a busy shot, that you could see some minor oddities with the video. But overall, I gotta say, it looks pretty legit. Galaxy AI takes a ton of power. There's a lot that's happening in the background, and all of this is possible with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. The Galaxy S24 Ultra is one of the fastest phones I've tested, and that's partly due to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. It beats the iPhone 15 Pro Max in Geekbench's multi-core test, but it scores a tiny bit lower on the single core. But it really flexes its muscles in how it handles graphics processing. In fact, it sets records with 3D Marks' Wildlife Unlimited tests, easily beating out the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Pixel 8 Pro, and yes, last year's Galaxy S23 Ultra. I'm also astounded by how it delivers hyper-smooth motion in games that support ray tracing like Diablo Immortal. Just the way it handles lighting makes it look better on the Galaxy S24 Ultra than any other phone I've tested recently. The phone's fast, and these benchmark scores prove it. And with everyday stuff on the phone, it exhibits those fluid and instant responses that I look for. Not only is it incredibly speedy, but the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 proves its power efficiency in our battery benchmark test. The 5000 mAh battery reaches a time of 16 hours and 45 minutes, which bests last year's phone, which reached only 13 hours and 9 minutes. If you're wondering, it's longer lasting than the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which did set a benchmark in terms of flagship phones are concerned, but this just takes it to the next level. On top of that, the 5000 mAh battery supports 45-watt charging, so technically it's not the fastest we've seen, but for a flagship phone, it's perfect. Even though it's $100 more versus last year's phone, I still think the Galaxy S24 Ultra is worth the money. I know that the telephoto zoom performance wasn't the best, but now you have all the Galaxy AI features. I find many of them practical, including instant slow-mo and circular search. And on top of that, you have a brighter screen, a much longer battery life. So when you take all of that, I still think it's one of the phones to beat this year. What do you guys think about the trade-offs with the camera? Is it worth it for the money? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Tom's Guide. I'm John V, and I'll see you in my next video.